Hello and welcome to our coverage of Gamescom here on GeForce. I'm Julian and this is God Among Men, Thor Gunnarsson, here to talk about In Death. So we've talked to you before, we saw your Everest VR experience, but In Death is something that's new for you. It's a much bigger actual game. Tell us about In Death.
Yeah, In Death is really the game that we always set out to create when we founded so far to become a VR-only game studio. We really wanted to take particularly a lot of the things that we learned from Everest in terms of how to do high-fidelity graphics, high performance in VR, how to achieve presence in VR, and apply that to a game concept that we thought would really resonate with core gamers, taking the sort of shooter, roguelike genres, putting them together into a game that was created specifically to kind of take advantage of some of the things you could only do in VR.
What's the world like in Death?
So In Death is set in the Godless Afterlife. The gods have left the proverbial building. You're in a medieval, surreal setting, traveling across the realms of purgatory, the pits of damnation, and then moving on to Paradise Lost, which is the new chapter of the game that we were showing here this week, which allows you to basically conquer the heavens and take on Gabriel the Fallen as the boss in the game.
So this game relies heavily on archery and some shield mechanics. What was it like for you guys so far to go from Everest, that was all very, maybe like using your haptics to get across a bridge, to actually having to aim an arrow, pull back, shoot, all that? What was the learning experience for you?
Yeah, so when we set out to prototype In Death, after we were coming off of Everest, one of the things that we really wanted to nail with the game was the ability to integrate locomotion and movement into the core combat mechanics of the game. When we started prototyping with the longbow, which is an awesome type of weapon for VR games, what we came up with was a way to use a special teleport arrow that you can knock and pull, aim where you want to go, shoot the arrow, and you teleport there. And what we found as we went to early access back in February was that the players were really digging the way in which we had kind of made the teleportation and the locomotion part of the sort of game mythology and the core loop of the game, rather than having sort of an abstract teleport beam or the kinds of things that we often see in VR games. So this week we also launched the new weapon, the crossbow, which is an awesome short-range weapon. Allows you to basically behave like a medieval shotgun or a six-shooter with very fast loading and shooting. And again, allowing you to move through the space super fast in a very super satisfying way.
All right, so it's an early access, but you said this is kind of the final push for the game.
Yes.
What's left for In Death that you guys still have envisioned that needs to make its way into the final product?
Yeah, so we are super close to launch. We haven't given the final date yet, but suffice to say that we are working hard to make sure that we have the game out in full release as the RTX cards are coming into players' hands. So look out for an announcement for us in the sort of late September, early October timeframe, and we're looking to come out on all platforms at that point.
Well, you guys, if a VR roguelike archery game sounds like your bag, check out In Death in early access right now. It's on Vive, it's on Oculus, and Windows Mixed Reality. In the meantime, we'll also be here at Gamescom with plenty of devs talking to all of them about their games and the RTX 2080 Ti's, which, by the way, we're giving away 10 of those. So stay tuned, subscribe, comment, you could win here on GeForce.